You are now live. Let's see. Wait for some people. Is my sound working? Can't actually test it until someone comes on. Oh, Wave. Hello. Can you hear me okay? Oh, wow, I can't see anything. Okay. Do I need glasses? I didn't realize how blind I am. At least, okay, good. Thank you, Matthew. The sound is working, but my eyes are not. Oh, hello. Oh, lots of people. I like hitting the wave button. My glasses are not in here. Where are my glasses? Oh, they're over there. Okay. Oh, so blind. My eyes are so bad today. It might be allergies or whatever. Thanks for the hearts. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about today. I thought I would just hang out with you guys and answer any questions that you have about anything. And, but this is out now. So, came out yesterday. I did my nails purple, just to match the cover of the book. That's as far as I went, but... But I am excited. I think this is probably the best story I've ever written. And I mean, you've only seen 2, but I actually wrote 5 other books before these 2. I just didn't publish any of them because they're trash. But this one I'm excited about. This one's fun. This one is super angsty and has probably the best love triangle I've ever written, to the point where I don't even know who I would choose in this love triangle because I love them both. So, and I know some people on here have read the online version of both these books, actually. This one now has a whole lot of, oh, hello, Loki. This one has a lot of new scenes. Not as many new scenes as this one, but this is my first book, for anyone who doesn't know. This is my first book that I ever wrote. It came out last year, and this is book number 2 in the series. The stories are not continuous, so they don't go together, but they are both Choose the Ending novels. Hello! They are both Choose the Ending novels, so that means that there's one main storyline, and then at the end of the book you get to choose your ending. So this first book that I wrote has 5 endings, The Five Princes, and then The Rebellion has 3 endings. And they both have also a spot where you can go in the back and write your own ending. Not in that spot, apparently, but apparently in another spot. There it is, okay. So, in this spot, you can write your own ending. I would like to build a site at some point where everyone can submit their endings, but I haven't done that yet, because that's a lot of work. But if anyone can do that, let me know, or at least tell me a platform I can do that. Might just have to be a Reddit thing. But I can't even work Reddit, if I'm honest, so I'm not on much except for Instagram, because it takes the least amount of effort, as you can tell by my Instagram feed. But yeah, it's actually kind of early for me. It's 11 a.m. and usually I'm teaching classes at this time, but I took today off, vacation day, one for my book release, and another because I'm dying inside from university classes. Discord. Oh, okay. I'll have to look up Discord. I actually know nothing about Discord. So I'll have to look that up. Thanks for the recommendation. But yeah, usually I'm teaching classes. I teach English as a second language So I work in Korea. I work in South Korea. As an English teacher, I work at an academy. And my academy teaches pretty much anyone from teenagers to retired folks. So some of my students are older than me, and they speak better English than I do, to be honest. But yeah, so usually I'm teaching right now, kind of half awake like I am now. My neighbors came home at 6 a.m. They came home at 6 a.m. and they were so drunk that they could not remember the key code to their apartment, and they kept setting off their own apartment alarm. So I'm like, how's the pandemic in Korea? Actually, it's not bad at all. Like, when the pandemic first started, Korea has experience with like SARS and a lot of other pandemics, and so they're extremely organized. So as soon as the pandemic happened, they zoned different hospitals. So like these hospitals were for coronavirus patients only. These hospitals were for regular patients. They always have masks in Korea anyways. People wear masks because of the pollution. People wear masks because they forgot to wear makeup that day. So, I mean, masks are not a big deal here. And so everyone started wearing masks. And when we kind of ran out of masks, the government actually went door to door and gave people masks to make sure that everyone had masks. And there was really no like regulations for masks until maybe this year. But now like we don't have very many new cases, at least not in Daegu. In Seoul, it's a little bit different. In Seoul, it's really crowded and people are still working, and it's just big city vibes. So they're having a little bit more trouble. But overall, I think Korea's okay for the most part. Probably one of the best places to be in during the pandemic, to be honest. So yeah. When the pandemic first started, my family was like, "Oh, you're coming home, right?" And I was like, "No." And now look at America. I made the right decision. So, but Google Sites or Quora, that's an idea. I haven't looked into those either. I'll have to look into those. I'm going to write those down. You have lots of good suggestions. Suggestions? I teach English and I just said suggestions. Yeah. So when are you joining a Korean girl group as a dancer? When I don't suck, maybe. I've only been dancing since May, I think. I was a backup dancer. Not for like anything professional, like I guess. I mean, I did a promotion for our dance academy, and I was a backup dancer, so that was really cool. I practiced a lot, and I still wasn't that great, but that was kind of my goal, to be on a promotion, and it happened within like 6 months or something like that. So now I don't know what to do with myself, because dancing is really hard. Dancing is so hard. And I did martial arts for 11 years. And martial arts is really hard too. But martial arts, you just kind of go in, you learn like a technique, and then you just kind of go full power. And you just kind of build and build and build. So actually doing martial arts helps with my dancing a lot. Because it's kind of the same way, is you have to like learn the technique, and then you have to like add speed, and then you have to add power. But for some reason, like, I'm just not that great at dancing. Like, I would rather go hit things. But I always wanted to learn dancing, so I'm doing dancing. And I tried Taekwondo for a while, but I didn't get to hit enough people, so I quit. But let's see. So, Cora, been dancing since I was 6, and you dance a lot better than me. No, that's not true. I mean, it's not true that I dance better. I'm sure it's true that you were dancing since you were 6, but no, it's so hard. Especially, I'm like the oldest person there. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm turning 35 this year. So, and all of my classmates, there's like a 13-year-old, and then there's like everyone else is a university student, and I'm like the teacher, not the dance teacher, but just a teacher. I take martial arts and suck, and I suck at dancing too. I mean, fair. We can't be good at everything. 35 is the new 25. True. I like 35 way more than 25, to be sure. Oh, 25. I hated my 20s. I hated them so much. Like first you like graduate high school, and then they're just all middle school and high school is preparing you for college, and then you go to college, and college is like, let's prepare you for the real world by not teaching you anything about the real world and then making you panic about everything. Like, oh, if you fail this class, you're going to fail at life, and you're going to, end up on government support when you're 45. And, oh, you are good at martial arts. Okay. Okay, well, good. Good. Yeah, it is different, right? Martial arts and dancing. It's very different, very different. So fun thing, when I started dancing, I was like too aggressive, because dancing is more like melodic and like going with the feelings of the song. And then like martial arts is just like, no, pound the crap out of people. And so like my dancing was just so aggressive that it was comical. And it was bad technique too. So it was bad technique and aggressive. So it was like a comedy movie. I am almost at the belt before black. Oh, okay. So probably brown. Probably brown. Yeah, I keep getting like the belt right before black and then like quitting. So I have a 2nd degree brown belt in Kyokushin karate. So that's one belt away from black belt in Kyokushin. But then I moved. And then I think I have a brown belt or a 2nd degree brown belt in Krav Maga, which is Israeli military fighting. Also quit right before that because I moved. And then I have like a purple belt in Taekwondo. And then I did jiu-jitsu for an extremely short amount of time. Although my Krav Maga mixed in jiu-jitsu. So I do know a lot of jiu-jitsu moves. I've probably forgotten most of them by now, to be honest. It's been a long time. I don't even know how I would do in a fight now. I mean, I didn't really like sparring before, but but I don't know how I would do now. Shiran Ryu. Ah, Krav Maga. Ah, okay. Krav Maga and Ryu. A dance teacher I know said I would need to practice a ton 6 days to get well. Yeah. Yeah, you think they would be connected, dance and martial arts, but I mean, so I did ballroom dancing. I did ballroom dancing for like kind of, I guess, a year, on and off. And my dance teacher for ballroom was telling me that most people start to lose flexibility in like their ankles and feet and knees by the time they hit 30, and they just never realize it. And so when he teaches people to dance, he has to like fix their degrading flexibility that they don't know that they have. But he said that all of his martial arts students, the people that did martial arts before they did dancing, they have better flexibility and they're easier to teach from that standpoint. So I think, because I did ballroom dancing and Kyokushin karate at the same time, and it's interesting how they kind of help each other even though they're not related. So like it helps when I did karate, it actually helped my flexibility. And then when I did dancing, it helped me like really focus on techniques and movements. So it kind of helped each other out. I think I'm much better at couple dancing than I am at K-pop dancing. K-pop dancing is brutal. Nobody tells you how brutal it is. Like, everyone just kind of teases it, I guess you could say. At least people that aren't really into it, they'll tease it, and it's actually extremely brutal. It's probably the hardest dance I've ever learned, and I've learned a few. I learned ballroom. I learned hip hop. I could do hip hop, but I looked really stupid doing it because I just don't have that kind of attitude, I guess. So I looked really dumb doing it, but I enjoyed it, and it wasn't hard. But K-pop is just like buckets of sweat, and I only do it for an hour, and my brain is just fried, just trying to keep up. But the only thing that saves me is I'm extremely competitive. So when I see the 13-year-old next to me like doing really well, I get kind of mad, and so I have to like mentally beat them for some reason. Not like hitting, but like mentally like keep up with them and just like make less mistakes than them, because I'm weirdly competitive. But I will pretend not to be competitive because I'm a very sore loser. So I will never tell you that I'm competitive when I'm competing against you. But I think I practice, when I do dance, I go to dance class twice a week, and then I think I practice maybe 30 minutes a day, except for Thursdays or Fridays. Maybe like 2 days a week I don't practice, because I'm lazy. I'm never hard on my students who don't do their homework, because I was the student that never did my homework. So I can't be mad at them, really. If I had a class, if I did the homework, I would do the homework like minutes before. So I never insult my students for that. But Gucci Bach. Gucci Bach. Hello. Is it Gucci Bach? Is that kind of like bag, but Gucci bag, but with a K and one C? So where are you guys at? What time is it there where you are? It's 11:18 here in the afternoon. I don't know what I'm going to do today. I have today off, but this is all I planned. On Friday, I slept for like 13 hours, so my sleep schedule is totally messed up. I went to bed at like 6 p.m., and then I woke up at 7 a.m. the next day. University classes are killing me. Killing me. I like studying. Well, no, I don't like studying, but I like my major, but man. 10:18 p.m. Oh, all right. That's not bad. It's not too bad. So you are like 12 hours, 13 hours difference than me? Where are you at? Which city or country? I'm curious. I keep trying to do live streams at different times because Korean time is so much different than American times. So, and I think a lot of I have readers everywhere. I have readers in the US, I have readers in Kosovo, I have readers in the UK, so it's kind of hard to... USA, yeah! I'm from, well, I'm not from Los Angeles, but I'm from a city very close to Los Angeles. So, but I always just say I'm from Los Angeles because no one knows where I'm from, so it's just easier. It cuts out all of that small talk of, oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Redlands. Oh, where's that? Well, it's about an hour east of LA. Oh, okay. Like, I just don't want to go through all of that, so I just say I'm from LA. In the Caribbean. Ooh, okay. All right, the Caribbean. Nice. Nice. I've never been. I would like to go, but now it's too far, and so I will probably not be going. I think I've flown over it, but I hate flying. I really hate flying. I am the person that like drinks heavily on planes. I don't drink alcohol at all except for on planes. And I just ask for as much rum as possible. So that's how I am on planes. One time I made a stewardess sit in the empty seat next to me because I couldn't stop crying on the plane because I don't like planes. And she was confused, but she was nice enough to calm me down. So kudos to her. She actually, funny story, I was talking to this stewardess because I'm terrified of flying, and she turned out to be terrified of driving. So she couldn't drive more than 2 hours without some sort of sedative. Not while she was driving, but someone else was driving. But it's interesting how we're afraid of different things. So, oh, my back though. So much hair. But, yeah, let's see. The only way I can get to a place that is not another island is by plane. Do you like flying then? Are you okay with it? You're not scared to death like me? But to be honest, like, I'm scared of anything. So I don't even like really tall escalators, so I sort of freak out. I have to like run up the escalator, and I still kind of like have a panic attack towards the top. So, yeah, I have, let's see, I'm accustomed to it. Well, good. Good. Yeah, I flew from LA to Korea 4 years ago, and that was the last time I was on a plane, and I am still recovering. That was a long flight. Very, very long flight. If you're going to take that flight from LA to Korea, I do recommend Korean Air. It is the least claustrophobic of all of the planes I have been on. But I usually do this during the entire flight, so I don't feel turbulence. Or at least I feel like I'm in control of turbulence, which is not a real thing, but I do it anyways. Whatever works, right? However you need to cope to move forward, right? But I haven't visited home in 4 years, so I would like to. Well, I guess this is my home, but I haven't visited my hometown in 4 years. I haven't seen my family in a while. I honestly don't have a lot of fears, not physical things like spiders or clowns. I'm not afraid of clowns. Clowns are just failed actors. That's that's all it really is. They auditioned for something and failed, and that's how they became clowns. Spiders, I don't like spiders, but mainly because in my hometown, in my house, we had a lot of poisonous spiders, and so every spider was pretty much dangerous. In Korea, I think I've seen 2 spiders in the 4 years I've lived here. I've seen 2 spiders. One of them was in my window. I remember that. And another one was, I think, outside and at work, I think. But I can count on one hand how many spiders I've seen in Korea. Korea doesn't really have anything dangerous. Not really. Just the pollution, I think, is the most dangerous thing in Korea. But there's no like poisonous things, really. I've been told the most dangerous thing here is wild boars. I have never seen a wild boar or even heard them, but you have to go into like the mountain area for all of that. And I'm in the city. Although Daegu is really nice. Accidentally stepped on a tarantula at night and killed it. I would never sleep again. Okay. That's too much. That's too much. I actually, one time at home, when I was in like high school or something, I was getting ready for bed and I almost crawled into bed. to go to sleep. And then I remembered something I had to do, so I stayed up and I did that. And right when I turned around, this gigantic spider crawled across my pillow super slowly. And I'm like, that could have been on my face. That could have been on my face. And so I stayed up for a long time after that. And I was there with your barefoot. I can't. I can't. Oh, that's too much. Oh, that's too much. Oh, you are a brave person. I might not sleep tonight after thinking about that. Boy, that's terrifying. That's so terrifying. So, should I talk about my book? What should I talk about? I feel like... So, this book... let me tell you why these two books are different. Because this book, the first book that I wrote, this book takes place in a fantasy world. Kind of like a... it's kind of like, you know, Princess Diaries book. Did I say something wrong? This takes place in a fantasy country called Ajina. It is not a real country. I have had people like freak out. They're like, "Where is Ajina?" And then just like apologize, like, "I don't mean to be offensive, but where's Ajina?" It's not real. You can't offend a country that's not real. So it's not a real place. These are, it's kind of like the Princess Diaries in Genovia. It's not a real place. And I never actually tell you where it is, but I do leave hints on where this fake country is. And I'm going to let you figure that out for yourself. But this book takes place in a alternate historical Korea. Korea, historically, a long time ago, used to be divided into 3 kingdoms. And the 3 kingdoms eventually merged into one Korea. And now it's 2 Koreas again. But it originally was 3 kingdoms, and so I kind of got the inspiration from that. And so this one is the 3 kingdoms never combined, but they were all instead ruled by an evil emperor. And so an evil, oppressive emperor. And so all of the characters in this book are Korean. The names are a little more modern. I tried to ask a bunch of my students about historical Korean names, but honestly, they're just so difficult, even for my Korean students, even for my older Korean students. It was hard for them to think of more historical names. So the names are a little more modern. So the main character is Jaehwa, and Jaehwa and her brother Kiwon are farmers, and Kiwon is taken away by Sejun. Sejun is the head of the emperor's guards, and so he takes Kiwon away to be executed. And Jaehwa wants to save her brother, and so she joins the rebellion. The rebellion is like a anti-government group. They're gangsters, basically. But they're gangsters that are trying to find ways to free oppressed people, and yet at the same time punish the guilty. So they're kind of like, they're like a mixed group of kind of justice and revenge at the same time. They kind of have their own rules. And so Jaehwa decides to join the rebellion, and there is 2 people in the rebellion that are important. One of them is Hanul. Hanul is the combat leader of the rebellion. He teaches everyone how to fight. And then the other one is Kangdae. Kangdae is the actual leader of the rebellion. And so the whole story is about Jaehwa trying to save her brother, and yet at the same time fight up against Sejun, who is also her first love. So yeah, so it's a really fun love triangle. I enjoy it a lot. Super angsty. I love my angst. If there isn't any angst in it, it's probably a boring story to me. So I like human turmoil. That's what I like. I like drama. I like inner struggle. So these two stories are not connected really in any way, just except for the multiple ending aspect. And I am working on book number 3 right now. It's called Gods of the Sea. There is an excerpt in the back of the Rebellion, and that one is actually going to take place. I haven't fully fleshed out everything, but the main character will probably be French, because the story of Gods of the Sea is pirates, pirates and sirens. So a lot of privateering and things of that sort were done in the times. There were a lot of like French pirates and Spanish pirates, definitely Spanish pirates. So Europe had a lot of pirates. So did Japan. Japan had a lot of pirates too. So I wanted to keep it kind of in that. And with Gods of the Sea, the main character is I modeled her after a Southern belle. I lived in Tennessee for a few years, so I wanted kind of the Southern belle kind of feel, and I feel like a French Southern belle would be just perfect. So that one will take place in France. The thing, let's see, the Dutch could work well too. Ooh, the Dutch would work well. The Dutch would work well too. That's a good point. And I am part Dutch, so I think I'm part Dutch. I know I'm Swedish, and I know I'm British, and I know I'm Irish. I did a DNA test, so I'm definitely European, but definitely Irish. I can't remember if I'm Dutch or not. I have to look that up, but it's like 1% if I am. So I would like to go to the Netherlands. That would be a cool trip. But I would want to go in the summer because I don't like cold weather. So I like hot weather, really hot weather. I did one too. Ah, okay. Anything interesting in your DNA test? I wasn't really surprised by mine very much, because mine was just like, hey, you're from Europe. And I was like, yeah, I know. But I did find some family members through my DNA test. So that's the most important thing, really. But yeah, I usually travel in Korea. I prefer to travel in Korea, mainly because I don't like flying. Basically what I already knew. Yeah. Yeah, that's how I felt when I did my DNA test too. It's like, oh yeah, I kind of knew this, but it's still really nice to see the numbers and things. So I enjoyed it. I think it was worth the money. So I did it maybe 10 years ago, something like that. Jessica! Hi, Jessica. I miss you. No, I miss you too. Jessica was one of my sparring partners in Krav Maga. Hi. I've no one to fight in Korea. You have to come out. You have to come out and fight me. I'm really bad at fighting now. Really, really bad. She kicked my butt. Oh, I only had to keep up with you. That was the thing. All of my sparring partners in Krav Maga were half my age, so I had to, like, keep up. I doubt that. No, I was really just trying to keep up. You guys pushed me so hard. I loved it. I loved it so much. Now I just have to dance better than 13-year-olds. That's my competition. I'm losing, by the way. They dance so much better than me. Just natural dancing. Dancing genes. Gotta work twice as hard to look half as good. Aww, my favorite partner ever. Aww, you're my favorite too. Oh, I miss you guys. I miss Krav. I just need the whole, like, Krav Maga, like, group just to move to Korea, because there's no Krav Maga here. I think there's one class in Seoul. There's one class in Seoul, but it's in Seoul. I can't go that far. It takes like 2 hours by train. So, trains are kind of expensive after a while. I love your dancing videos. Aw, thank you. It's just a hobby. But it's good exercise. It's really good exercise. One time we sparred in Krav, I fought a few people who are now black belts. Yeah. Yeah, everyone in my crew is now a black belt except me. I will get my black belt someday. Someday. A long time from now, maybe. Just because I don't have any time. I'm so busy these days. I don't like it. I'm not saying that as a badge of awesomeness. I'm saying it as a badge of not awesomeness. I'm in my freshman year of my master's program. And, like, I didn't do really well in college the first time around, so I don't know why I decided to do a second round. Or third round, I should say, because this is, like, my third major. I have 3 majors. But, and I don't like school. And I have 3 majors, and I'm a teacher. But, yeah, no one told me, like, when you do your master's, just how depressed you're going to be. Like, everyone will tell you that you're busy. Everyone will tell you that it's a lot of work. No one will tell you just how, like, totally drained and empty you feel as a university student. I actually went to trade school. Well, not trade school. Maybe it was trade school. I went to a vocational school and got my bachelor's in multimedia and video game design. And now I'm going to an actual prestigious university, and it's so much more work, and it's a lot of papers, and it's a lot of discussion groups that I don't really feel part of. But I know it's going to help my writing, and that's the most important. The most important thing is to write well, and to write in a way that is most impactful. I decided to get my master's because I wanted to be a good writer and a good leader. And so I am studying, but, like, I study and then just, like, as soon as I have any free time, I'm just so exhausted that I can't write. And that's so depressing. To not be able to create as a creator is the most depressing thing. And so that's one of the hard things about being a creative person, I think. There's a lot of hard things about being a creative person. Can we talk about that for a minute? Because being creative is a totally different brain set than anyone I know. So, like, my family has some creative genes in them. But we always make this joke, at least me and my mom do, we make this joke that I inherited all of the creative genes from everyone in our family. Because I do things like I write, I dance, I draw, I do a lot of creative things, and I always have to be doing creative things. And, like, I'm the one person in my family that doesn't watch TV. I don't like TV. I can't, I have to do something. I have to interact with something. I have to be building something. I have to be working on a project. And so like my sleep schedule is completely everywhere. My work's, I'm just always working. If you're a creative person, your brain is just always on. It's just always trying to create something. And then when it's not creating something, it's like mad that it's not creating something. And then by the end of the week, it just dies. Like your brain just completely dies. And every Sunday I'm having like existential angst and just a total meltdown because I am just so tired and I can't create anything. And I'm like, we're wasting life. We need to create. And I'm like, no, I'm tired. But then I just end up staring at a wall for like 4 hours. So like being a creative person is so exhausting. And then like trying to find other people to be creative with is also exhausting, because as a creative person, you need a community. But you need like a community that doesn't feel threatened by you, number one. Because I feel like people are like, yeah, let's create things, until they're like, they start to get insecure. And then they're like, oh no, that person's better than me. I need to like not spend time with them or something like that. Or just like, or you get afraid people will steal your ideas, which, I mean, every creative thing is a stolen idea anyways. But finding a community, I am having the hardest time in Korea finding like a creative community to like latch onto. I have some people back home that I talk with all the time about creative projects and things, but in Korea it's a little difficult. Although I will say this, so if you're going to be a creative person, if you're going to be any sort of artist, I would recommend being in a place where that art thrives, or that art is like registered as something interesting. So like when I lived in California and I would tell people I was a writer, like nobody really cared. Or that I wanted to be a writer. Like there was a lot of writing groups, but it was just kind of this feeling of like, yeah, everyone's a writer, or everyone can write, or oh, it's so easy to write a book. Like it wasn't a big deal. And then like I moved to Korea, and in Korea, writers are really esteemed. So if you are a writer, you are kind of considered kind of an artistic genius, I guess. It would be kind of like a Hollywood actor in America. Like if you're an actor, oh, you're cool. You're like celebrity status, even if you're not celebrity status. And Korea is kind of the same way with books, interestingly enough. So I found like Korea. I can't speak. I need coffee or something. Dang. Korea is a really good place for writers, because Koreans will encourage you a lot if you are a writer. They'll think it's really cool. So I enjoy being a writer in Korea. The book culture here is really cool. Honestly, I found that when I have free time, I will balance resting and creative stuff. That gives me energy. You're a smart person, Loki. You're a very smart person. I'm very bad at resting. I don't know what to do to rest. I usually listen to music. I like listening to video game soundtracks. I'm really addicted to Jesper Kyd. Jesper KYD. He does a lot of really, really good video game soundtracks. He did Assassin's Creed and Darksiders. One that I'm really addicted to right now is Battle Chasers. I clicked on it randomly, but the Battle Chasers Night War soundtrack is amazing. It's so good. And I like listening to that kind of music because it sparks my creativity. I really like reading in my free time, but at the same time, I have to read a lot for my major, so my brain just dies. And like I said, I don't like watching TV, and even just YouTube, I don't really like anymore. So I try to find things to do with my whatever free time I have, but I'm not good at recuperating energy. I need to play more video games. Video games is where I get most of my story ideas, and it's also where I rest the most and feel the most creative, because it just kind of zone out and play the game, and then you come back and I have like new story ideas. So I need to play more video games. If you have any suggestions for some video games, let me know. I need to get a new laptop. My laptop has a big old crack in the back, so I can't actually like close my laptop, and it struggles with PDF files. So I play games in short bursts. Yeah, I kind of do too. I play on my tablet these days mostly. I play, what's it called? It's a ripoff of Harvest Moon. Harvest Town. Harvest Town. It's a total ripoff of Harvest Moon. There's another game that's a ripoff of Harvest Moon. What is it? Starlit Valley, I think. Actually, I don't know. Did Starlit Valley... I'm pretty sure Starlit Valley came second. Harvest Moon is really old. Really, really old. Harvest Moon was on Super Nintendo, so I don't think Starlit Valley was on Super Nintendo. But I'm gonna check, because my thoughts are not facts. So, is it Starlit Valley? No. What is that game called? Stardew Valley. See, I didn't even get the name right. So, let's see. How old is it? 2016. Yeah. Yeah, it's a ripoff of Harvest Moon, but that's okay. I prefer Harvest Moon. If you've never played Harvest Moon, I recommend it. Among Us and Rebel Inc. Ah, okay. Okay. I haven't played Among Us. There are a lot of memes. There are a lot of memes. I've seen them, but I understand nothing. So, I understand there's an imposter. That's as far as I got. And then Rebel Inc. I don't know Rebel Inc. Rebel Inc. I have to look this one up. Endemic Creations. The graphics don't look bad. Okay, it's on Steam. I do like Steam. I kind of want to get a PS5. But that's a lot. That's a big commitment. My coworker got a PS5, and he was showing me some of the games that were out for it, and they looked so good. So good. But let's see. Hang out a little bit more. I think another problem with being an artist is like you're alone all the time too. So even when you're creating something, you have to be like alone in your brain and then produce it. And then you have to find like, I feel like you have to like produce something, and then that's only the beginning of it. So let me talk about being an indie author for a minute, because I am an indie author. I do not have a publishing company. I just have a printer. And so you will not find a publishing company in the first part of my book. In the copyright page, it's copywritten by me. And I decided to become an indie author just because of time. I didn't want to have to waste part of my life looking for agents and looking for publishers who wanted my book. And then creative control, I didn't want to work for publishers that would tell me what my characters need to be like and what I need to do to fix my story in a way that markets well instead of good storytelling. So there's always trends in the publishing industry, and I understand people need to make money. You need to feed your family. I get it, but I don't like following trends at the cost of telling bad stories. So I don't, or at the cost of good storytelling. Good storytelling is far more important than trends, I think. So I started getting kind of skeptical of the publishing industry when they started doing when they started requesting strong female protagonists. And I'm like, first, I don't really understand what that means. Like, is it strong by your definition or my definition? Because I've written a book where the main character was extremely timid and extremely paranoid because she came from an abusive family, and her whole character arc is to, become stronger and overcome that. And I'm like, does that make her a weak character to the market? Or she's not a weak character to me. And I don't like someone else defining strength. That's my definition. I get to decide that for my characters. So I started kind of not trusting the publishing industry when they started doing stuff like that. And I don't want people defining my characters for me. So I decided to become indie, and that became so much more work than I anticipated. Because you have to first you have to write the book, which, by the way, it never gets easier. Like, it never gets easier. You kind of get better at knowing when something is not working, and knowing when something is not reaching the potential that you know it has. Like, it's not going to be the fantastic, amazing, earth-shattering story that you always think it's going to be. What was it? I heard a quote recently that they were talking about poetry, and they were saying something along the lines of all poetry is like life-moving and life-altering until you try to start and write it. Because in your head it's like amazing, and then you try to put it on paper and it just doesn't connect. And so your book will only be probably 70% as awesome as you think it's going to be. So first you have to write it, and it never gets easier. And it's always frustrating, even on my third book now, or third book to be published, I should say, because it's really like my 9th book or something, 8th book or 9th book. And even now, I just kind of like, I'm at the point where I hate it, and I don't know where it's going, and I'm finding little like things to hold on to, but I'm just like, this is so hard to write. And so it doesn't get easier. And then after you've written it, you have to get an editor. You have to get someone to look at it and tell you why it sucks. Because interestingly enough, when you write a book, you will probably hate what you wrote. As soon as you finish it, you'll be so proud of yourself, but then you'll be all like, this is the worst piece of trash ever written in the history of ever. And you'll hate like certain things about it. And then you send it to an editor, and they'll be like, oh, this is great, and these parts are great. And they'll send you a list of all these things that are good, and you'll be like, oh, okay, I thought those things were terrible. This person thinks they're great. And then they'll give you the list of things that are terrible, and you're like, oh, I didn't know those were a problem. So it kind of does that. And then you have to fix it. With my first book, I'll tell you this. With my first book, The Five Princes, my editor was Australian, and I am American, and my main character is American in this book. And so I ran into a problem where my editor changed some of my words to Australian English, and I didn't catch it until almost too late. And so I had to like scramble and fix the Australian English because it wouldn't compute. Because this story is from the point of view of an American, so they wouldn't have the spelling or certain slang. So I had to go back and fix that. And then after you have the editor, You have to hire a cover designer. So my cover designer is eBook Launch. They did both of these covers, and they did my third cover as well because I got a set. They did an awesome job. It's just beautiful covers, and so then you have to get a cover designer. Then you have to get a formatter. There's actually someone who like formats this. You can do it yourself. There's a lot of indie publishers who will teach you how to do it. You can also make your own covers and things. But for me, I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't want to put so much extra pressure on myself because I was already so stressed out just writing the book. So I wanted someone professional to kind of just show me how it's done first. And then after my third book is written, I'm going to try and do my fourth book. I'm going to try to do my fourth book by myself because my fourth book is more of a philosophical romance. So it's not going to be the same kind of feeling as these books. And so I'm going to experiment on book number 4 and try to do it myself. So I'm nervous about that. But I'm excited about that book too, if I could, just finish it. And then the worst part for me is marketing. It's not that I don't mind pushing my book. I know many artists don't like pushing their own work. And that's normal. Because artists create because we don't really like pushing people to do things. That's why we create stuff. Because we're not pushy people, usually. We're not salesmen. We don't have that kind of natural networking kind of feel, because we're always kind of creating things in our heads and things like that. So even just connecting with people is hard anyways. At least it is for me. Maybe other artists have it a little bit easier, but I have a hard time really like connecting with people. And so then you have to like kind of use marketing and psychology and advertising and all of that to reach people, which no one ever told me how much that costs as a writer. So I think if you want to know how much it costs to write a book, this book, I think total cost me like $3,000 just to make this book. And then this was a little cheaper because I didn't make as many mistakes as I did on this one. So this one didn't cost as much, maybe $1,000, maybe. And so that's before marketing. So if I do the cover design, the formatter, you have to pay for copyright, U.S. Copyright Registry. You have to pay for ISBNs. You have to pay for the barcode. Although some places will give you a barcode. What else? There's other things you have to... There's like a lot of little things. You have to pay for your website, all that other stuff. And then there's marketing. And so marketing, you kind of need marketing. You need someone to tell people that your book exists. And I only work part-time as a teacher. So I have to I have a very small budget. I've listened there. Oh, I don't know his name. There's a book called Your First 1,000 Copies. First 1,000 Copies. And the writer, I need to find his name. Tim Grahl. Tim Grahl has some really good information on publishing and marketing your book and things like that, because he is a book marketer. So you have to find book influencers and things like that. And then you have to pay those people. If you're on BookBub, you have to pay BookBub. If you're on Amazon, there's Amazon marketing. You have to pay for that. So I think you can put in as much as you want. I think I've only done one campaign on Instagram, and it was just to test it. And I think it turned out to be like $20. And it didn't totally suck, but it definitely didn't bring in a lot of people. But it did bring in some people. So it does make a difference how much money you're putting into marketing. So if you think about becoming a indie author, that's something you have to think about. Or just an indie artist in general. Just an indie artist in general. Or just an artist in general. Being an artist is not easy. It's not easy. We see a lot of the, Monita. Hi. So I feel like we see a lot of celebrities, and we insult them for making so much money. Like, oh, they're rich, they don't have real problems. And I'm just sitting there like, you don't know how long they made nothing. Just, a friend of mine wants to become an author and is working on some books to cope with things. Yep. Writing is probably the best way. Hi. Hi, Monita. I haven't talked to you in a long time. Long time. But I think writing is one of the best ways to heal. I know, for me, like, I was talking about this with somebody. I don't react to things the way that people are supposed to react to things. Like, if you're one of those people that wants me to be angry with you, you're talking to the wrong person, because I just don't, like, emotionally react to things. And that's just, I don't know where I got that from, but I just don't really react to things at all. But when I write, I like cry. So like I bawl. Just like anything I didn't react to that I was supposed to react to, or didn't have time to react to, I can kind of process, and it's amazing. It's so amazing what you learn when you're writing about yourself. It's so amazing. Like even in this book, in this book, I wrote about the main character's father. The main character's father disappears, and so it's not a spoiler. It's part of the beginning, actually. And so her father disappears, and so she never really thinks about it. And then her first love disappears as well, kind of the same way that her father did. And later in the book, one of the main characters talks about, do you really believe that the people who left you never think about you? And that made me cry when I wrote it, because I didn't realize, I always thought about people leaving, but I never thought about how they felt when they left. And so, because even now, I live in Korea, I had to leave home, I had to leave my family. And it seems like I don't miss them, and it seems like I don't think about them, but of course I do. But you don't know that when you're the one that's left behind, right? So just thinking about it from the point of view of the person that left, that was very healing for me. It was very healing for me. And this book, oh my gosh, this book should not have made me cry when I wrote it. But there were just scenes in here that just made me cry as well. Basically from the His POV series, the His POV part. Because all of my books, they have points of views from different characters. So you have like the main character for most of the book, and then there's like a section where it's the story from different points of view of different characters. So you can see the full story come together. And usually those are the scenes that kind of hit me the hardest, because I'm exploring the different viewpoints of different people who are seeing the same event. And they all see the same event differently. And so when I do that, it usually hits me the hardest, because when you're writing, you're like sorting out your thoughts for the first time, and you're processing things. And so things pop up that you never thought of before, and that you didn't even know that you were thinking of when you're writing, and you're sorting it all out. And so even when I just like write in a journal, or when I write poetry, I wrote a poem a couple weeks ago, I wrote a poem in a cafe, and I was just kind of like free writing. And I was trying really hard not to cry in the cafe because I didn't realize how affected I was by this sort of thing until I started writing. So that happens a lot. That happens so much. Writing is so healing. And I don't like how school systems suck the value out of it. It's kind of like what they do with reading sometimes. They make you read like the most terrible books. Like in high school, all of the books that we read, everyone, like the main character always kills themselves. And I'm like, why are we reading this? Like in every book. I love your poetry. Oh, thanks, Monita. But just like, I feel like nobody, writing is really hard. I will say this, writing is really, really hard. And schools teach it in a way where it has no meaning to it anymore. So they give you like prompts, and then, at least when I was in school, I hated writing. I hated writing assignments, and I always wrote stories during class. Like I failed most of my classes because I was just writing in class. That's all I did. But school is just like, what did you do over the summer? Okay, that's fine, events. But you gave me no direction for it. So, like they never tell you to work on your senses. Like, what did you smell? What did you taste? What did you hear? What are some things that you saw that really affected you? They never teach you how to write deeply. But then they kind of punish you for not writing academically enough. I don't like academic writing because academic writing is for other academics. It's not, if I can write something academically, but I hate it. Like, I really hate it. I don't need, this is fun. So I am an English teacher, but I actually have a lower vocabulary than most native English speakers. And my students don't believe me because I speak fast, but that's not really the same. My fluency is fine. My vocabulary level is very low. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is because I mostly read and write books that are for kind of high school audiences. I also just read only like, I actually like middle school novels the best. I like middle school novels, and I like philosophical fiction, which are very, very different, vocabulary levels. So I can write at the same level as an academic, but I don't feel like that's important, because when you're writing something, the point is to connect with the reader. The point is not to show off your vocabulary or how much you know or how much you paid for your education. No one cares. The reader doesn't care. And it shouldn't be important to the reader anyways. The reader wants to connect and process with what you're saying and what you're telling them. And so I think using simpler vocabulary is much more important. I don't like academic writing because academic writing sucks the soul out of storytelling. And I guess when you're writing academically, you're not trying to be a storyteller. If during my master's program, my point in my master's program is not to tell a good story. It's to study philosophy academically and correctly. But I feel like even with my term papers, I can make them interesting. So when I was in college, for my bachelor's degree, I had an ethics class. And in the ethics class, we were talking about cloning. And so every time we did a term paper, our teacher would say, let's give me an outline of your paper. And so I told them I'm going to start with a fictional short story about person who finds out that they're actually a clone. And my teacher wrote back, because this was an online class, my teacher wrote back and said, oh, that's probably not a good idea. You just want to get directly into the research. And I'm like, no. This is what I'm doing with my paper. Because I fight with my teachers all the time. And so, so I'm like, no. You don't see it the way I'm seeing it. Let me show you. I promise it'll leave an impact. Just wait. And so I did it anyways, even though she told me not to. And so I wrote this piece about the ethics of cloning people. And so the first part, it was just this like 2-paragraph story about a child who is going to find something in his parents' closet, and then he finds like this paperwork that says he's a clone, and just how it impacts him and just what questions he would ask as someone who finds out that he's a clone of someone else. And I started with that, and then I went into the research part and what I felt like my ethics were on that particular topic. And so my teacher eventually wrote me back and said that was way more impactful than I thought it was going to be. So I feel like even with my term papers and things like that, I feel like writing has the opportunity. There we go. Writing has the opportunity to be incredibly impactful, even on the most boring topics, and even on the most controversial topics. And just like, I feel like school systems don't encourage that enough. They want you to write a bland paper that has no impact on the reader or you. And I feel like writing should be something that explores yourself as a person. It explores you. It explores humanity. It explores ideas. It explores philosophies. It explores anything. So you shouldn't be like punished for a wrong answer on a writing essay, because writing should be about taking thoughts and putting them together and trying to sort them out. So I feel like you shouldn't be punished from that. And there's no writing techniques that are really taught. They just tell you to write something, and then writing is hard. And so like students will write something, and then they'll get, marked down because they have a comma in the wrong place, and then they give up writing. And so I feel like schools could teach it a little bit better. But I get it, I guess. I teach writing now at my school. I try to teach writing as much as I can. I have some classes that I get to plan and teach out. So I try to teach writing in a way that's, in a way that you don't get any sort of markdowns for anything. Because writing is exploratory. So I want to do the best I can with teaching writing in a way that encourages people to write and doesn't make them quit. I have a lot of students that say something along the lines of, I wanted to be a writer, but I had no talent. And I really hate that. I hate that sentence, I have no talent. And I've said it before, and I will probably say it every day until I die. But there is no such thing as talent. Talent is hard work multiplied by a long period of time. That's all it is. So if you're just starting, you suck. That's just like nobody's born with this ability to write. I started reading books on how to write when I was 14. 14 is when I got my first book on how to write. But I started writing stories when I was 7 or 8. So I just kept writing and writing and writing. And all of my stories sucked. Just everything sucked. I had no talent whatsoever because I didn't put in the time. Don't you think that some are gifted in writing? Yes, I think gifts are a thing. Gifts are a thing, but talent takes work. And more people have talents than gifts. I think like with gifts, I think only a small percentage of people have true gifts. Like you just see like a 3-year-old play Mozart and you're like, oh crap, that's a gift. Like you didn't put in the time. You definitely, like, God gave that to you. And that's a gift. But I think like such a small percentage of people have those kinds of gifts. Everyone else has talent that they had to basically bleed for. They had to work for it. They had to put in, 20 hours a week minimum, just practicing this one thing. And that's talent. And that's usually what you'll see most of the time on like those talent shows and things. Those are people that put in a lot of work. And so just like anything that you're going to do, the first time you do it, you're probably going to suck. But if you enjoy it while you suck at it, then keep doing it. That's the key. So even when I write things that totally suck, I still enjoy writing it. So I know I'm in the right place. I know I'm in the right place. Hey, Kimchi Candy. Welcome to the party. Sinuses. It is spring. It is spring. I love spring in Korea, but oh, my face. So, I need to practice my Korean today. I had a class yesterday. What's an example? An example? Example of what? Philosophical fiction. An example of philosophical fiction. My favorite book is The Picture of Dorian Gray. That is definitely philosophical fiction. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde is philosophical fiction. The Stranger by Albert Camus. That would be philosophical fiction. I think Catcher in the Rye is technically philosophical. Usually philosophical fiction it's usually older. It's usually classical. It has kind of a classical feel. What's his name? I'm so bad at remembering his name. The guy that wrote Kafka on the Shore. Kafka on the Shore. It starts with an H and then an M. But he's a Japanese writer, and he's very, very famous. Haruki Murakami. He's a philosophical writer. He's still alive. So a lot of philosophical writers, they kind of write about humanity. So it's not so much, there's like literary fiction. Literary fiction is just kind of fiction where you're just kind of along for the ride of someone's life, I guess. I feel like literary fiction would be, people will disagree with me on that, on this one, but I think The Good Earth is kind of literary fiction. So you're just kind of following someone's life. But philosophical fiction would be more like studying an idea of humanity. I just bought one of his books for a friend. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm reading Kafka on the Shore right now. And then there's one guy that I just finished reading. His name is Jung Ho-sung. Jung Ho-sung is a Korean writer. And I would say he's kind of philosophical fiction in a fantasy way. The book I just read by him, it's called Loving. I think it's Ayin in Korean. But, and it's about a fish, basically. A fish that lives at a temple, and the fish just grows wings and then flies around the world and learns what love is. And beautiful, beautiful book. I sat in a cafe and just cried reading that book. And then there was just like people turning around and like looking at me while I was crying, reading that book, but but just like something that explores the depth of an idea or something in humanity. So I want to write I do recommend it. I do recommend it. I'll show you the cover so you can find it. This is the book. Really, really good. Where's his name? There's his name. Jung Ho Sung. Actually, I think that's upside down. I can't tell. Yeah, Jung Ho Sung. There we go. But this book was really, really good. This book was really, really good. I've highlighted so many things in this book. This is my favorite line. There can be no love without sacrifice. Many people are incapable of sacrifice and therefore are incapable of love. So, just beautiful, beautiful book. So, and yeah, even this line, I felt sad. I blamed God. I blamed God's actions. Why should death be the consequence of true love? Don't be too sad. Love is stronger than death, they say. You have to sacrifice everything for love. So, just beautiful book. So I definitely recommend that one. I've never actually finished a Haruki Murakami book yet. I really liked, I read some of his short stories from Men Without Women. That one was really good. From what I read, I just didn't finish it. I just don't finish books. But that one was good. So I like books like that are a little deeper. But I also like children's books because life is hard. My phone is dying. I love you. Oh, I love you too, Monita. I miss you. Next time I come to the States, I'll come see you. Whenever that is. So, well, I guess it has been. Miss you too. I guess it has been over an hour now, so it was fun hanging out with people. I hope this random rambling was somewhat interesting. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but it was just nice hanging out with people and talking about stuff. And I'm trying to find better times for live streams, but you're super cute and I'm proud of you. Aw, thank you. Thanks so much. I hope you get a copy of The Rebellion. I'm super proud of it. Super proud of it. Although I have found mistakes already that I'm not proud of, but I'm not going to tell you what they are because I don't want you to see them. So, hope you grab a copy. It's everywhere. You can order it at your bookstore, local bookstore. You can order it. Ask for it by my name because I'm not popular enough by title alone. So you have to ask for my name. So someday I'll be popular enough where you don't have to use my name that's very difficult to spell and pronounce. But until then, thank you for your support. I am excited. If you read the book, please leave a review. It helps me out a lot. Just a review helps me out a lot. Even if you hate the thing, give me 1 star. I have 1-star reviews. It's fine. It's fine. Just leave me in a review. It helps me out a lot. Both of these books, and hopefully next year book number 3 will be ready and done to go, and then we can talk again. I will do another live stream soon, probably after my midterms, and we can all hang out again soon. Alright, well, this was fun, guys. I will see you later. Happy spring, happy Tuesday, and peace out.